Today we are here to discuss about the cloud forensics attacks and the various challenges associated with it. So before that, let us have a quick background about cloud computing. What are the various features, how it has been introduced into the industry and into the academics, what is the purpose of cloud computing, what are its essential characteristics. So when we come to the features, the major features associated with cloud computing are the internet-based services to support the business processes, and we can rent IT services on a utility-like basis. So whenever it is required, we can give it for a rent. The small portion of the cloud can be given as a rent, so which will save lots of money. There is no need for a company to purchase complete cloud, right? So how much based on their requirement, so rent, based on rent they want to take, they can take it or they can purchase completely. So it is depending upon their own uh, requirement. Then comes to the attributes. When we compare, so how come cloud computing has raised its importance in the industry as well as academia? First we will discuss about the industry only, later it has slowly it got deployed in the academia. So because of the rapid deployment, the quick deployment of the cloud wherever and however, with the small investments, it does not require large sum of investments, where you are just taking one part of a cloud and you're deploying your own services and you're making use of it and you're getting profit out of it for these startup companies and so on. So cost is based on the usage or the subscription. So this is also one major thing. When you're not using, you're not going to pay. So although you have taken it, so you will once you are using it based on your subscription rates, based on that you are going to pay. It is not like a burden on us. So multi-tenant sharing of the services, this we are going to discuss in detail in the coming slides. The essential characteristics of the cloud are the on-demand self-service, network access, local independent resource pooling, rapid electricity and measured service. So basically cloud computing is a compilation of existing techniques and the technologies which are packed into a new infrastructure paradigm that offers the improved scalability, elasticity, business agility, and faster startup time, reducing the management and utility of the services. So this is how we have come up with the cloud usage. Like if you see, there is a drastic change in the use of cloud. It has increased like anything. Starting, it was only used by less number of people, and slowly it has increased its usage. The major characteristics which are associated with the cloud are resource abstraction, on-demand elastic resource provisioning, multi-tenant support, multi-jurisdiction, because state to state, country to country, the jurisdictions varies, so it has to support, and it has. So location independence and service bound service level agreement contracts. So based on the requirement, which kind of service and what kind of agreements we can do it, so based on that we are proceeding with the use of the cloud service. Okay, so this is who has to use the clouds, who should use it. So everyone, or only the industry, or only the people who want to do the research? That is the various questions which will arise, right? So cloud providers has to provide some security to the people, so that it can provide better than the your service whichever you have within your system. If you have more protection and more storage area and some extra features, then only people will try to adopt that particular service. Then the web services interfaces should not introduce too many, so that we are opening a way to new vulnerabilities. So cloud provider always aim to uh, work on at least as high as to do on the security goals, then the cloud computing will have a better security. So the problems associated with the cloud are loss of control, loss of trust, and multi-tenancy problem. And these are the problems which are associated with the public clouds. So okay, so not with the private clouds. So self-managed clouds will have their own security loopholes, that is internal attacks, other attacks, but not these three. These three arise when they are with the associated with the third party management models. So these are the various threats which are associated and the vulnerabilities due to which the vulnerabilities are caused and the countermeasures. And as we all know, the cloud has three layers of services which it provides. That is software as a service, platform as a service, infrastructure as a service, right? So when we compare each layer, so these are the various disadvantages or the threats which are associated in all the three layers. That is denial of service, data leakage, data scavenging, and hijacking, service hijacking. These are due to the APIs and the interfaces which are associated in the cloud and which are insecure. Okay, if they are secure, they won't allow this kind of vulnerabilities. And data related vulnerabilities, even we if we come up with the new techniques in order to overcome that, still those vulnerabilities exist. As the first minute, the moment we come up with one countermeasure, the next minute the attacker will come up with new loophole and new vulnerability, right? So in order to say that, we can say right now whatever history based vulnerabilities, the main vulnerabilities which have been associated with the cloud, so can be overcome with some of the existing techniques. And rest the in future problems which will arise has to have a clear look, and then they have to provide some countermeasures. Okay, so this is how the data manipulation will generally, it happens on a software as a service layer because of the various web applications and the insecure APIs which have been associated with the software as a service layer. And next comes the virtual machine escape, virtual machine hopping, malicious virtual machine creation, that is a duplication of the virtual machine. Okay, insecure virtual machine migrations, sniffing, snooping, and all these things are the various vulnerabilities which are associated with the hypervisors vulnerabilities and the duplications of those, so that even the user will not able to analyze that he is using a vulnerable virtual machine, rather than he feels that he whatever the information he is fetching, it is from a genuine system. So in this is how the vulnerabilities may happen. We can just overcome those vulnerabilities with the existing some of the techniques which are associated, like hypersafe, TCCP and TVDC, MyRage, Palm, and virtual network framework based on the ZenNet, so on so forth. So, and these are associated with the infrastructure as a service. The virtual machine always lies on the infrastructure layer. So always you can say these are the various vulnerabilities which are associated with the infrastructure layer and the software as a service, where the data manipulation is a major issue which still we are facing. Although we have the scanners, still we are facing the issue. So these are the top cloud security concerns. So exposure or loss of data, which we have discussed here, and concerns over the encryption of the data, whether they are at the transactional level or at the rest position, data should be always encrypted format. It should be in the encrypted format in order to save or protect that particular data from various attacks. Physical security at the data centers, not only the communicated data which we are storing, even the physical data centers need to be secured in physical fashion. That is nothing but physical security. And share technology vulnerabilities in a multi-tenant environment, malicious activity from the privileged insiders only, identifying or authentication of the users need to be taken care of very strictly in order to overcome some of the security concerns, difficulty in assessing and comparing the security of the cloud service providers, and compiling with the legal requirements, ability to conduct the audits, review the logs, etc. So these are the mechanisms which generally each and every user in the network, those who use this cloud, will expect. That is the role and actions of the users as administrator, as a normal user, so that the personnel will have those limitations in order to access those particular services. That is nothing but the access control mechanism. Isolate the user data and session from the co-users. Preserve the user confidentiality. Identify the insider threats. company policy against the insecurities, consequences of the violation. So these are the very strict actions need to be taken if someone violates that particular policy. Track the policy compliance and provide the evidence for the legal action. So these are the various, like I'm just going in a brief way for the cloud security, where we are going to discuss cloud forensics in terms of a case study and so on so forth. So this is how it will go, minimize the loss of control. So this is a general procedure in the multi-tenancy, where we are associated and the user will fetch the services once he gets authenticated. As in terms of, he will send the authentication request, he will get the assertion from the uh, IDP, that is the identity providers, policy identity providers. So once they provide the identity and they approve the identity, then the resource request will be sent to the PEP, that is policy enforce point, so that it can check out all the assertions which are associated with that user, and then it will be redirecting to the particular domain, to of the resource owner. So then it will retrieve the policy which is associated with that particular owner. Then it will send back the information to the PDP. That is nothing but policy device decision point. Once the policy decision point has been cleared and it has been granted, then a ticket will be granted to that particular user. Immediately the ticket will be sent to the PEP, so that it can be decrypted and verified with that particular PEP server. Then once it has been done, then that particular ticket will be verified. It will retrieve the capability from that particular ticket, and it will grant or deny the access to that particular server of the user. So this is how the multi-tenancy can be handled. Instead of one user, if we have multiple users at this particular point, so same procedure need to be followed in order to avoid some security loopholes. So once it has been done, then the process, once the access control restrictions and authentication has been provided, then the user is free to use that particular resources. So how to minimize the multi-tenancy problem in the cloud? So if we say that we should have less number of tenants in the cloud, then it is like we are violating the rules, as the cloud will support many multi number of users in the network, right? So that is a violation, that we are saying that there is a restriction that only 10 users or 11 users can be used at that particular point. Then it is very difficult to identify, and the use of the cloud will be limited. Then who is the insider, where the security boundary is associated, and who can I trust? These are the various things we need to take care, so in order to increase the trust in the tenants. So this is how the local host security is also important with respect to the cloud security. So are the local host machines part of the infrastructure? Lack of security on the local devices need to be concerned. That is, whether the device is getting compromised, or the resources which are associated with that cloud also get into compromise, that need to be verified. With the mobile devices, the threat may be even stronger. When you are using your mobile devices, obviously the misplace or stolen of the device, or security mechanisms which on the gadgets, that is mobile, may be insufficient compared to a desktop computer. The potential attacker can easily avenue into a cloud system. The user may rely mainly on the cloud device to access the cloud data. So in order, when the user is going to use the cloud data on the mobile, then the vulnerabilities are more compared to the normal desktop system, because of the firewall and other authentication mechanisms. So devices should have a strong authentication mechanism, tamper resistant mechanisms, methods to trust, and cryptographic functionality when the traffic confidentiality is required. So what is driving into the cloud computing? What So thought leaders are the Amazon, Google, Microsoft, and many more. but the economy they have made with respect to the capex versus the opex, and the feds are the government, enterprise, and innovators. So the usage of the cloud is with respect to the cloud, enterprise, and the innovators. So these are the various challenges associated with the cloud. So security, performance, availability, it is very hard to integrate with the in-house of the IT. So this is the percentage where you can say the percentage has been taken in order to know the various issues associated with the cloud, and these are still open in the research for various challenges. So although we come up with various solutions, still there exist the challenges. So cloud forensics is required to investigate a digital crime when a cloud victim, instrument, or a medium. Though, so the cloud information has been taken by the unknown person, or unknown person has accessed the cloud and fetched the some others information, and he has used for some illegal way in order to cache, in order to run ransomware, and so on. So in that case, this cloud forensics will come into picture, where the complete investigation will be performed, and a procedure will be given where it will try to suspect a crime by collecting the digital evidences from the cloud, preserving the evidences, and producing them in the court of law. It consists of 6 various stages, and those are the identification, where you are going to determine the components, data possibly associated with the incident, identification of the incident, preserving, so that you can ensure that the evidence of the integrity, collection, you are going to extract the individual data items and group them according to the requirement, examination, you're going to scrutinize the data items and their characteristics based on the on which we are going to analyze, correlate, and assimilate the material to produce the reasoned conclusions. Presentation, finally the reports based on the identification, preservation, collection, and examination analysis, you're going to produce a report in a organized, clear, and concise manner. So in short, you can say this is the traditional route or process flow of the cloud computer forensics. That is incident identification, evidence identification, and the collection of the evidence, examination of those evidences from the organization and analyze them and present them in terms of a report. So these are the conflicting goals which are associated with the cloud and the forensics. So the cloud, it is a location independence, whereas the forensics will say that wherever you are there, you need to do the legal inquiry. That is, you need to investigate at that particular location. So this is a very conflict goal which is associated with the forensics and the cloud. So rapid elasticity, evidence preservation is very difficult when there is a rapid elasticity exists. Okay, that is to maintain the data integrity. Data reliability, change of custody, and evidence integrity is very need to be maintained, but as data replication is very frequent in cloud, so it is very difficult to have the chain of custody. Multi-tenancy, due to the presence of multi-tenancy, attribution of data is very difficult, or chain of custody is difficult in the when we go for the cloud forensics. The general abstract of data structures, the best evidence is required, but whereas when you go for the cloud forensics, you have an abstract level of data. There is no specific, or you cannot say that there is exists some best evidence to present or visualize that particular evidence. It's very difficult. It may exist, but it is very difficult in order to proceed with the investigation, and it takes lots of things into control and access privileges in order to fetch that particular evidence. So these are the things which are associated at each level, and we need to manage some of the things where we need to have some particular rules and regulations in order to use the data, and some of the controls which are associated with the data administrator will take care of the security issues. Software as a service will be completely managed by the administrator, and platform as a service, applications and the associated data need to be taken care by us, and the rest will be managed by the service provider. Similar fashion with the infrastructure as a service and on premises, all these things, the middleware, OS, virtualization, server, storage, networking, data, so on so forth, will be managed by the service provider. So these are the various cloud services which we have, that is the cloud public types of the clouds which are associated for the from the federation, that is hybrid cloud, private cloud, public cloud. What is the need of cloud forensics then? uh, 1 second, someone has pinged. Oh, sorry, it's not for me. Yeah. So the cloud forensics as an application of digital forensics or cloud computing is a set of network forensics. As we know, the cloud forensics has a is a part of digital forensics, and as we say, the cloud computing has into a come into picture in the network, so it is a network forensics only. So whatever the network analyzation we do, same procedure we follow for the cloud analyzation in order to investigate an crime. So the cloud forensics has three dimensions. That is the organizational dimension, where we are going to investigate in the organizational level whether there are some insider threats or insider attacks, and then analyze them organizational levels, that each and every employee, how they are accessing, what kind of data they are accessing, everything. Then come to the legal procedures, where what kind of rights have been given to each and every employee, whether the employee has overcome those rules and regulations or violated, boycotted those rules or violated those rules. Then that investigation will take into another dimension. So technical dimensions, what are the controls they have and how they need to use. So if we consider this as a crime scene, so these are the various things which we are going to consider. Yeah. So these are the various things which we are going to consider, that is web exposed crime scene. So the internet which has been used, and what is the information which has been accessed. The provider technician will provide the access to the information whatever has been accessed to the forensic investigator. So investigator also will enter into this domain internet. Using the internet, he will enforce the law, so that the entry level and the exit level and the rules and regulations and the privileges associated with each user will be entered over here, and it has to deny. So this is the first cloud crime which has been happened in 2011 May 14th. It has been reported. So this is how Amazon's EC2 cloud service fueled the PlayStation network attack. So the PlayStation, that Sony's PlayStation network attack was down for further than the Amazon. So PlayStation network, where as it was undisclosed source speaking, and Bloomberg News has indicated that the hackers have used the Amazon cloud services to fuel the break-in, and they have entered into it, and they have collected the complete data over there, so that they can use it for later purposes. The damage has come. The next challenge associated with this is, these are the various challenges. The second challenge, the in detail we are going to see over here, that is nothing but this storage system is no longer a local system, so the associated with the lots of attacks. So each cloud server contains the files from many users. So how to differentiate that this is my set of files, this is one set of files, and so on so forth. It is very difficult to know how to associate, how to get associated with each set of data. Although your username password is associated, but still some of the data which you are going to download or use it is vulnerable from the various sources, right? Which you are going to download or upload from the various sources. Even if data is belonging to a particular suspect which is identified, separating them from the other users is very difficult, because by the time we identify that particular PDF or doc file contains the vulnerable data, how many people might have downloaded it? It is very difficult to make everyone to understand and identify that this is a file which has the vulnerability. So other than the CSP, there is a usually no evidence that the links which are given in the data file to a particular suspect. So various challenges because of the cloud challenges has arisen because of the various data which it has stored with respect to the healthcare, national security, business, and so on, so forth. If you see the log formats, so this is how the percentage has been varied. So the significant, very significant, if you see lack of law regulation and law advisory is very much high, because people simply they simply start using the cloud, but they doesn't know what is the law which has to be associated and how they need to expertise themselves before using that particular service, whether is any law associated with it or any forensics expertise which is associated with it. Nobody knows. Even if we lose some amount, we will run to bank, but if we lose some data, where to go? Still that remains a question. Many people lack that information, that where to approach if we lose our own data. Dropbox has many people have come and they have stored their information in Dropbox, but all of a sudden if Dropbox collapse, I mean that some attack has happened on Dropbox and that whole information has been erased. So for you it has been erased, but whether that server information has been erased or not, that's a big question mark. So in that way, so these are the various issues associated. We lack the forensics expertise, first thing, and even the as an individual, we lack the regulation policies or the advisories which are associated with that particular usage of the cloud. So there are many single point of failures which are associated, and the moment if it gets failed, the information is lost. So these are the various challenges which are associated. The forensics frameworks for the traditional frameworks that are statistic and live forensic can help to trace the issue relatively where the data centers within the where the data centers are within the physical reach. Cloud model poses the unique challenges like the storage system, which no longer a local. So your information from where you are accessing or where you are storing, nobody knows. It is not on a local server. So globally, as the information has been stored globally, so we are not sure that the information where we have stored our information. To say, we will say that we have stored our information on cloud, but where exactly? That cannot be known very easily. So sometimes if you are associated with the business applications and you are subscribing for that particular thing and you have your own private cloud, then it is possible to know where is your information. But when you are using a public cloud and the information has been stored, it is compared to private cloud, it is difficult to obtain the information very easily. So even the data belongs to a particular suspect which is identified, then also the key data is very difficult to retrieve or separate it. So reconstruction of the deleted data is also a challenge, because once the data has been deleted, even the forensics team will also get failed in order to recover it sometimes. Okay, so there are various methods. So people say that once you delete the data, we can recover, but up to a certain level, but not completely. Okay, so other than the service provider, usually there won't be any evidence that links up a given data file to a particular suspect. So to the data forensics, as the information is difficult to locate, acquisition, which arises the challenges and cannot, as there are no analysis without the acquisition. So these are the various challenges you can see. So cloud forensics challenges: identification, collection, preservation, close. Even if you close the case, still that deletion of the information need to be there. Reporting, examination, understanding. So identification, which is associated with the decentralized data, unknown physical location, dependence on the CSP. The collection of the data. So by the time the incident has occurred, the data might have been deleted, or the data might have been removed from that complete cloud by the attacker. So we don't know what is the privilege which has happened with the help due to the incident, right? So in that way we can say that privilege has been the privileges which has been associated with the user can able to check it. But all these things, the identification, collection, data, everything has been associated with the administrator only, right? So so if it is associated with the administrator, just say, indirectly we are saying that we are completely dependent on the administrator, right? So once we are dependent on the administrator, where is the security? So it is also like, if administrator turns out to be an attacker, so he can collect all the data which is associated in that particular cloud and he can misuse it, right? So those incidents are also existing in the history. If you go back and if you see the history, these are the various things which are associated and still working out in the way. Okay, so these are the cloud due to the cloud characteristics, the various challenges which will arise. So self location independence, due to the discovery of the computational structure and legal jurisdiction, the conditions, the challenges, this already we have discussed. So once again, it is for the, because of this diagram, this has been associated, because general structure, general and abstract structures, the best evidence preservation or visualization of the evidence will be associated. So when you go through each and every of this recovery of the deleted data, when you want to understand, you will have only partial evidence or recovery of the deleted data or cryptographic data. So out of these three, you need to understand how the incident might have occurred. Okay, that's a big challenge. Okay, and when you start examining the logs, okay, the logs might have been deleted by the attacker itself, then we don't have a framework, particular framework, then the time lining might not be there, and the encryption of the data is also a one possibility where we may fail to examine particular data. Okay, even if you decrypt and even if you give it, but it might not be of no use. So these are the various challenges and the suggested solutions for various challenges associated with the phases of the cloud forensics. Okay, cloud forensics, the challenges associated with the identification phase is the unknown or not accessible the physical location, that is the decentralized data or dependence on the CSP, cloud service provider. Okay, so once we are depending on all these things, these are the challenges which are associated with the identification phase, then the suggestions have been given, but they couldn't able to receive 100% uh, solution for those challenge, for those problems. Okay, still we say that we require the service level agreement, that a good service level agreement need to be there in order to benefit both the user and the provider. Okay, but that good will never exist, right? Even if you go you feel that this is the good service level agreement between the two parties, but still there exists some loophole which will be cashed by the attacker. Okay, so it should allow the logs need to be maintained in order to store at one particular place, but stored data can be replicated and distributed and fragmented in the network, which will lead to the another kind of attack. Okay, when we are collecting the evidences, the inaccessibility or the deleted data, multi-tenancy and resource sharing is associated. The various challenges are these challenges are associated with the collection of the data. When you go for the preserving or preservation of that particular collected data based on identification and collection, the challenges which are associated are the data integrity, chain of custody, data volatility. And when you go for the understanding of that particular preserved data, then recovery of the deleted data will be a great challenge which is not yet resolved, and the partial evidence and cryptography. So these are the various things which are associated with each phase. So these are the opportunities which are associated with the cloud forensics, that is cost efficiency. So we use more, I mean, use of more mature frameworks and processes will be cost effective over a period of time. As many people have come forward to use the cloud, so obviously the cost of that particular things will be reduced. And they, even if you go for higher cost frameworks, then you can say that after a certain period, now currently there might be no attacks, but as you are using a high mature frameworks and the processes, then you can say that you are safe for 1 year or 1.5 year, but not more than that. Next comes the data recovery. Data has been replicated across the data centers, which is less likely to be siloed, and recovery will become easier. So as you have done less replications of the data, so it will become very easy to recover that particular data if any incident happens, because generally if you have a less number of replications of the data, then it is very easy, you can say that, from where the data loss has occurred. Policies and frameworks, they are still evolving as they create the opportunities for the digital forensics to establish the uniform policies. But generally the policies from state to state, country to country, and every the standards which we use differ, and the cybercrime investigation will become very hard to continue. So this is how the process, digital forensics process in the cloud environment. So first thing comes as a incident. So you can see over here, so IDS, the identification, the identity provider's service will be associated with the suspected virtual machine. So when we are moving towards with the CSP, the identity of the malicious activities will be done first by the CSP, service provider only. So he will start getting the notification of a suspected virtual machine in the network. Immediately he will start collecting the digital evidence. The moment he collects the digital evidence, he will store the digital evidence in a fixed storage. Then he will request and collect the log files associated with that particular suspected virtual machine, and he will ask the search team to to verify that particular evidence. Once the evidence has been recovered and the sources has been identified, then this particular suspected virtual machine will be isolated from the network. And once the suspected virtual machine has been isolated from the network, then the evidence will be collected from that particular isolated virtual machine. Then the evidences will be preserved in the, in terms of in a mobile or in the computer, and based on that the examination will be performed, and digital forensics will be, officer will try to develop a report, and he will close the case once it is solved. So these are the various steps which are associated in the cloud environment. So the CSP will play a major role in solving a case with respect to the cloud forensics. Okay, the moment he suspects some duplication of the virtual machine or some activity, malicious activity associated with that particular virtual machine, immediately he has to intimate the search team, and as soon as he intimate, he should not stop there. He should immediately collect the data which is associated with it, and he has to give that data to the search team. So that search team will get at least 20 to 30% of the information, and they start collecting the log files, and then they start the source evidences identification from where this virtual machine has been introduced into the network. And once it has been done, they will isolate that particular, if they are sure that this is a suspected virtual machine, then they will isolate that particular thing, and they perform the evidences, whatever the evidence they have collected. Based on that, they are going to preserve the information, then they examine, then report. So for this, let us consider an example for now. So the case study is on the child pornography. So in order to investigate this particular case, the forensics examiners need to have a bit by bit duplication of the data in order to prove that there exist some contraband images and the videos. Okay. But in the cloud, it is very difficult to collect the data by himself. So in order to collect the data, he has to approach the CSP. So the moment he has to approach a CSP, he has to first get the search warrant. Okay. So that he can go and ask the cloud provider that we have a search warrant on the data, whatever you have on the cloud. Then only they will allow the cloud providers will allow them to have a search on particular data. Else they will simply say that you go back and come back with a search warrant. However, there are some problems with search warrant also. That is, first one is with respect to the location. Always the warrant will specify a location, but the cloud may not be in one particular location, right? So it is a storage server, it is not with respect to a location. So in that way, we have some uh, boundaries associated with the warrant. Further, data cannot be seized or confiscating the storage server in the cloud, as same disk can contain data from many unrelated users. You cannot take that particular you cannot completely stop that particular server to provide services for other users. Okay. But in order to investigate, we require that complete server. So there we miss that portion of the data sometimes. To identify, we require whether the virtual machine has a static IP or a dynamic IP. So if it is a static IP, then it is able to identify from where what has happened. Okay. So almost in all aspects, complete the evidence need to be depends on the transparency and cooperation of the cloud provider. So generally the cloud data is volatile, and we can sustain without any power, right? We cannot sustain without power. So when the power is turned off, the virtual machine on the data, or the data completely present on the virtual machine, will be lost. In order to not to lose that data, we should have an image of that particular instance. If we restart the VM instance, then we will lose the entire data in the IaaS layer. So what happens is, time to time, at one periodical basis, we need to take the images of the instance. So registry entries or the temporary internet files that reside need to be stored within the virtual environment, and which will be lost when the user exit the system. So these are the temporary data which will exit when the user will quit that particular system. Okay, exit from that particular system. So these are the various things which are associated. As data is volatile, also we are unable to fetch the data which has been lost and which we are going to study. right? So malicious users can exploit the vulnerability which has been associated with the volatile data, that is the persist, as there is no persistent storage which can be achieved with the extra payment of the extra payment from the customers, which is not a common for the medium scale business or small scale business people. So this vulnerability will be a profit for the malicious users. Some owners of a cloud instance can fraudulently claim that their instance was compromised by someone else and had launched a malicious activity, which will be a difficult to prove the claim as false by the forensic investigation. Even a person claims that a false claim has been given by the user cannot able to prove that it is a false claim because of the volatile data. Okay, persistence in the computer science refers to the characteristics of the state and that outlives the process that has been created. Without the persistence, the capability without this, the capability state would only exist in terms of RAM, which will be lost when RAM loses the power. So what about the trust? So we are talking about the first we have to take the warrant, then we have to go, we have to collect the evidence, we have to perform the examination, then report. Once we issue the, what about the trust over there? The technician which is associated with the cloud has given a perfect information. So once we issue the search warrant, examiner needs a technician so that the data will be recovered in order to study. The employee of the cloud provider will collect the data, which is mostly not a licensed forensics investigator. Okay, and it is not possible to guarantee the integrity of the court of law. The date and timestamps of the data are also questionable as it comes from multiple systems. So in one particular server it may show that it is on this particular day, and at this particular time, that is 3 o'clock, and in another system, due to this synchronization, lack of synchronization of clocks, so it may show some other time. So that also becomes a question. So one of these shortcomings they found is to verify the integrity of the forensic disk image in the Amazon's EC2 cloud, because the Amazon does not provide the checksums of the volumes as they exist in e- EC2. This is the and one more requirement which we need to see is large bandwidth requirement. On demand characteristics of the cloud computing will have a vital role in increasing the digital evidence of the future. So the traditional forensics, for the traditional forensics, we just collect the evidence from the suspect's computer or the hard disk, but whereas for the cloud we don't have a physical access to the data. Only one way is to get the data from cloud VM with using the downloading of the instance image, that VM instance image. Okay, so the size of the image will increase with the increase of the data in the VM instance. We will require an adequate bandwidth and incur expense to download this large image. So where is my data stored? So the question remains same. Even whenever you are accessing or whenever you are storing some data in the cloud, where your data has been stored. Generally, this is like a question mark. Whereas the one person is asking about the data in terms of where exactly it has been stored in terms of location, the other is in terms of security. So you can see this example, the valuable information is the data only, but whether it is being stored in your local system or the cloud, where is that cloud, which location, that is very important to retrieve and know by each and every user. So Amazon S3 offers a storage in the US standard, that is Oregon, North California, Ireland, Singapore, Tokyo, Sao Paulo, and GeoCloud US regions. So you can say that if you specify a region or which is associated with the Amazon S3 bucket, then you can say that you can get your objects redundantly stored on multiple devices across the multiple facilities within that particular region. So one region, even if you lose some data or some malicious happens, immediately it is easy to recover from the various locations. So location of the customer data, Microsoft will also offer a transfer of customer data within the major geographic region. Okay, but this has two problems associated. One, as it is a replication of the data, it will replicate the complete thing, and which is an additional cost. And the second one is with respect to the security. That is, you can say that the major and one more thing is enhanced data durability in case of the major data center disaster. However, the customers can choose to disable this feature. So multi-tenancy in the cloud. In the cloud computing, multiple VM can share the same physical infrastructure, and data for the multiple customers may be co-located. This nature of the cloud is difficult from the traditional single owner computer, and it leads to two issues. First one is to prove that the data were not from the users data with other users data. It should not mix with the other users data. And second, to preserve the privacy of other tenants while performing an investigation, which will bring these two issues will bring a side channel attacks that is very difficult to investigate. What do you mean by side channel attacks? So EC2 service is a case study where it has been found that the internal cloud infrastructure identify a particular target of the VM which is likely to reside and then instantiate new VMs until one is placed and co-resident with the target. So in order to explore that, such placement can then be used to mount cross VMs side channel attacks in order to extract the information from a target VM on the same machine. So logging of the information, you need to analyze the log of information which plays a vital role in digital forensic investigation. The process of the logs, network logs, and the application logs are very rarely useful to identify the malicious users, because as it is done on the cloud, so sometimes it may not be possible to fetch complete information of with the help of the logs available. So as due to the various challenges associated with the logs, that is decentralization of the cloud and the volatility of the logs, multiple tiers and layers which are associated, accessibility of the logs. So accessibility of the logs, dependence on the CSP, absence of critical information in logs. So this is how the chain of custody is associated. Evidence integrity and chain of custody. So it has to identify, collect, examine, analyze, and report the information. This is the chain of custody, has to be examined from where to where the information has come and it has went from which place to which place. That need to be examined very carefully and maintain the integrity of the information. So these are the different challenges, and in brief we are going to see. So crime scene reconstruction, sometimes that also helps to recover some of the missing data. And cross border law, what are the associated challenges with the cross border law? Trustworthy data retention, who enforces the retention policy on the cloud, and how are the exceptions such as the litigations holds managers managed, or how the CSPs are assured that they are not going to retain data after destruction, and several laws in different countries which mandate the trustworthy of the data retention. So in the US itself, 10,000 laws at the federal and state levels force the organization to manage the records securely. Okay, so some of the laws and regulations which are stated are Sarbanes-Oxley Act, Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act, Securities and Exchange Commission Rule, Federal Information Security Management Act, Graham-Leach Bliley Act, okay, European Commission Data Protection Legislation. These are the various laws and regulations which are associated with the cloud trustworthy data retention. And what are the limitations of the current available forensic tools? So in order to do the examination, we have some tools which are associated, which are actually these are the tools although exist, but due to the distributed and elastic characteristics of the cloud computing, the available tools cannot cope up with the environment. Tools and procedures are yet to be developed for the investigations in the virtualized environment, especially on the hypervisor level. It requires a forensic aware tools for the CSP so that the service provider will able to solve some of the problems if the clients are going to arise due to the lack of security. So this is how the forensics today exist. The expanded subscriber content, which has been delivered in terms of PDF format, which may include the profile contact information, mini feed, status updates, shares, notes, wall postings, so on and so forth. User sometimes user photos sometimes is delivered in PDF format, may include the photos uploaded by the user and uploaded by other users that have a request user tags. So these are the some of the solutions which we are going to see. You need to shut down always. Once if you are not using the system or the cloud, just make yourself that the systems and the cloud systems, whatever you are logged off properly. Okay. Else it is like it is very easy to take your data into a disk and you just keep it safe and remove it from the system. So until unless we say that, until unless you are connected to the internet, your data is safe in the system. The moment you are connected to the internet for the first time, you are vulnerable to the various attacks. Okay, so because of those things, it is better to store less information on the system and have some possible solutions in the, I mean, in terms of various uh, requirements. Okay, so that you can make sure that your information is safe. So guest applications are required to be built up in order to build a trust solution, okay, which has a 6 layers, that is guest applications of the data, guest OS, virtualization, host OS, physical hardware, and the network. How to preserve the integrity? Generating a digital signature on the collected evidence and then check the signature later is one way to validate the integrity. And as we all know, data is distributed among multiple services. So the procedure of integrity preservation is not so simple, but it is very complicated. But still, we can achieve with the signature detection framework, which will facilitate the forensic investigation in the cloud environment. So signature detection framework is nothing but, so whoever using what kind of resources and what kind of data which they are going to use has its own signature. The user has to give the signature. So cloud current model of the file storage comprises of the two components, that is metadata servers and the object storage devices. The hash value of each file is stored in the MDS. But if the metadata servers are into corrupted, then the whole information will be lost. Okay. Integrity is checked every time after uploading and downloading of the file. In this work, there are majorly we are concentrating on two steps, that is nothing but for the signature detection is to send a list of target buckets to the forensic cluster controller along with the file containing the target MD5 hash values. The function of FCC is to initialize and query the analysis nodes for getting the number of files contained in the target bucket. Upon receiving the round 1 signature file from FCC, each AN retrieves the E tags of the bucket. Second step is to round 1 signature file is compared with the signature generated from the E tags by the analysis nodes. So once the one round has been completed, then that particular information will be used to compare with the generated signatures from the E tags. After getting the feedback from all the ANs, FCCs will be terminated the ANs. They test their framework by two ways, using the Amazon S3 and by emulating a cloud platform, which has been, if they achieve zero false positives and false negative rate and found significant improvement in terms of data which has been required. So logging, obviously it's a big burden, right? So first step of the logging solution is to logging must be enabled on all infrastructure components to collect the logs, which is a burden on the system as well as on wherever you're going to collect it. Next step is to establishing a synchronized, reliable, bandwidth efficient and encrypted transport layer in order to transfer that particular log files from the source to the central log collector. And the final step is to ensure that the presence of the desired information in the logs, that you should ensure that the information which has been in the logs is a correct and desired information. So we need to focus on three things, that is when to log, what to log and how to log. So these are the three steps. That is, the first one will include when to log, second one will say that what you need to log, and third says that how you need to log. So the cloud management plane consists of so it provides the web based management console like AWS management console, which will help the customers as well as the investigators to collect the VM image, network and process database logs and other digital evidences which cannot be collected in any other way. The only problem with this solution is cloud management plane is, that is that AWS management console which we are going to insert with the cloud, is it requires an extra level of trust, that is trust in the management plane. The legal issues which are associated with the cloud forensics are nothing but, the first thing which we need to consider is the service level agreement, as there is a massive gap in the existing one and that need to be refined, and it should be a responsibility of the CSPs that they have to make an update of the SLA every time. And researchers have given the emphasis on sound and robust SLA between the cloud service providers and the customers, but still they never follow, as they need to pay little much high, okay, compared to normal SLA. The robust SLA will state how the providers will deal with the cyber crimes, and as due to the lack of cyber forensics people in the network, cloud forensics people in the network, that's a major issue where the SLAs are getting failed, and people are adopting only the old SLAs which are existing, because if they need to adopt the fresh SLAs, then they have to go with the jobs for the cloud forensic people also. I hope I'm audible.
Yes,
Yes,
madam.
ma'am.
Yes, you
Yeah.
are audible,
Okay.
ma'am.
Thank you.
Yes,
I
madam,
just
audible.
felt there was some disturbance. Yeah. Thank you. So how and to which extent they help the forensic investigation procedure, that need to be considered, and we should ensure that the robustness of the SLA every time whenever a user and it has to get updated on timely basis. To overcome the cross-border legislation challenges, it has been proposed that the international unity for introducing an international legislation has to come up. So virtual machine introspection. So it is a process of externally monitoring the runtime state of the virtual machine from either the virtual machine monitor or from virtual machine other than the one being examined. So introspection is nothing but it is the ability to look deep inside the machine. So what is happening and what is not happening, in order to find out that we are going to see from another point or another system, we are going to test, or we are going to test the X system from the Y virtual machine. Okay, X virtual machine from the Y virtual machine as a third eye. Then we can say that the virtual machine is under uh, attack, or it is not, it is very normal. Okay, so by the runtime we are referring to the processor registers, memory, disk, network, and other hardware level events. Sometimes the virtual machine, the duplicate virtual machine will able to work very quickly, which the attackers have developed, and the original virtual machine sometimes may not work properly. So for that purpose, sometimes the service providers will perform the virtual introspection, so that they can know that whatever the virtual machine is there, that is original and that is not been duplicated, and it has not been into any attack. So through this process, we can execute a live forensic analysis of the system, as I have explained. So that while keeping the target system unchanged. So continuous synchronization, to overcome the problem of the volatile data, we need to explore the possibility of continuous synchronization of the data with a persistent storage. The two possible ways of continuing synchronization is, first is to use the CSPs, which provide sorry, which provides a continuous synchronization API to the customers. Using this API, customers can preserve the synchronized data to any cloud storage, that is, for example, Amazon S3 or any local storage also. However, it is an adversary is the owner of the VM. So trusted platform module, when we go for the trusted platform module, trusted platform standards, then we have to use all the platforms which are associated and they are not vulnerable to any kind of attacks. So if you see the standards, it supports. Okay, so by using the TPM, we can get a machine authentication, hardware encryption signing, secure key storage, and the attestation of that particular TPM. So the TPM, if we are using, then we can get the authentication of that particular system or mobile or any such kind of application, or sorry, hardware, and the encryption of that particular hardware with the help of signing or secure key storage and with the help of attestation. It can provide the integrity of the running virtual instances, and trusted log files will be stored, and trusted deletion of the data towards the customers will be taken place. Okay. Moreover, at present the CSPs have heterogeneous hardware and few of them have the TPMs. And the CSPs cannot ensure that the homogeneous hardware environment with the TPM in the near future. So how to isolate a cloud instance? So as we are saying that the instance of the image has to be considered, instance of the VM has to be considered in order to perform the introspection, right? So in order to have those things, how to isolate the instance, cloud from, how to isolate a cloud instance? So a cloud instance must be isolated if any incident takes place at that particular instance of time. It is required because it helps to protect the evidence from the contamination.
However, as a multiple instances can be located in one node, this task becomes the challenging. That is true. Moving a suspicious instance from one node to the another may result in possible loss of the evidence. To protect the evidence, we can move other instances reside in the same node. So this is how, like, you're just making a difference and you're just making it to go to the next level. So provenance in the clouds can be a data provenance and the process provenance. Data provenance with respect to who has created and who has the authority to modify or delete the data which has been stored in the cloud. And process provenance, what has happened to that data as once it is inside in the cloud. That is what these are the two provenance which need to be considered within the cloud, and it has to give a record for those for who has accessed the data at various times. Auditors should able to trace the entry of the uh, entry which is associated and back to the user. Okay, so this is how the various applications and various works which has been done so far, which has been investigated and which will be helpful for the all participants, so they can download some of the books, some of the laws if they are interested to do their research work in this particular area domain. So they describe various policies which is associated with the various countries, various laws, how they have enforced and how they have come up with the groups and how they are managing the cloud forensics, even if any incident has been occurred, and how they are going to uh, compare it whenever they get that history will not be deleted. They store that information for the future investigation. If similar incidents happen, then they will able to um, go for the data to get into it. So can you prepare yourself for the cloud forensics? Yes, it has some pain, but still we can. Because before the incident occurs, if you have some kind of log data collection, some investigate in order to investigate, and some procedure, if you are allowing only the trusted parties to check into it, and some trusted people only to log into that particular system, then you can have much more information which has been stored and you can investigate at the local level. Okay, the key to avoid such a this pain is to prepare before an incident occurs. Once you become a customer, you have lost much of your leverage. That is absolutely true. So once you start using the cloud, once you get connected with the internet, you have lost much of your importance. So whenever you are going to go for a cloud negotiation, then you should consider these of the points. So the provider will notify you immediately if there is any type of breach. The provider will allow you to access the servers or the systems. You can have the self collect. Determine what type of data the provider collects. Okay. So whatever data you're going to store, whether the provider has the right to check that data or only to encrypt it and keep it in a safer location. Okay. So indirectly, I can say that if you are a customer of a bank and you have a locker, one key is with you and the other key is with the banker, right? So when you go there, the banker has to give that, open that lock, and you have to use your key, the correct key, in order to open. Some kind of that particular security need to be provided even for the cloud data. Determine if the provider actually owns and controls the service. Write a business continuity or disaster recovery plan. Determine where, in what states or country your data will be stored, so you can determine the which laws can be applied on which kind of data loss. Okay. So these are the various tools in cloud, that is Ncase, Access Data, FTK, fast dump from HP Gary. You can get all these tools details when you go into the search internet and search for it. And these are the proven tools which give almost near to 95 to 98 accuracy whenever they have they have investigated the cases. So evaluation of the current tools, in the first experiment, the first collection of the data remotely from the guest OS layer of the cloud. In case the servlets and the FTK agents, which are at the remote programs which were used to communicate and collect the data. For the second experiment, they have prepared an Eucalyptus Cloud platform and collected the data from the virtualization layer. And these have given the 3 different layers, and they got success with all the experiments using these tools. The third experiment, they have tested the acquisition at the host operating system layer by the Amazon's export feature. So this is how they have extracted data from Amazon EC2. The first is to create the snapshot. So some information, some unusual information they have extracted. Then they have, they have handled it, investigated it, and they have come up with the solution. So cloud computing will reduce the time for data acquisition, data copying and transferring, and the data cryptanalysis. Whereas forensic image verification time reduced if cloud application generates the cryptographic hash function. Oh, it is a cost effectiveness, data abundance. These are the various advantages which are associated with cloud forensics. Scalability, flexibility, standards and policies. Forensics as a service can be provided to the customer so that there is no need to implement any forensic schemes which are inbuilt with each and every application. Okay. So even if the criminal who traffics the child pornography, the case which we have discussed, if we get into it, he has to set up a service in the cloud to store a large collection of the contraband images and the videos. Okay. So website allows the users to upload and download the content anonymously. He pays for his cloud services with a prepaid card. So Poly will encrypt his data in the cloud storage, and he will revert the virtual web server to a clean state daily. Law enforcement is stripped off to the website and wishes both to terminate the service and prosecute the criminal. So IaaS, that is infrastructure as a service, is being assumed to be a provider, which a provider will have the responsibility to access only the physical hardware, storage servers and the network components. In the public interest, law enforcement first contracts a cloud provider with a temporary restraining order. Okay. And tracking down the user is the more difficult task, which is a forensics examiner need a piece by piece information which has to be examined very carefully in order to find the criminal. Okay. The examiner will has no way to the image the virtual machine remotely, since the cloud provider does not expose that functionality. So that is the reason they say that the loopholes will be known to the attacker. If you start thinking from the attacker point of view and come up with the solution, then it will avoid almost 90% of the damage to your information. And your 90% of the solution which you provide will give the 90% of the accuracy, and that information will be damn sure information which will protect that particular system with that particular attack. Okay. So deploying remote forensic agents such as Encase Enterprise would require the suspect's credentials, and functionality of this remote technique within the cloud is unknown. Simply viewing the target website is not enough to confirm the content is illegal, but it has to tell us that nothing about who has put it there. So although some of the porn sites we see, child pornography or any other, some websites we are going to search, all of a sudden at right side or on the bottom, these kind of websites will pop up. Click here, right? So in that particular case, you can say that, but we don't know from where that information has been put, but it will get displayed. So these are the various sources, possible sources for the digital evidences. That is the credit card payment information, subscriber information, accessing of the logs, net flow logs, virtual machine, from where we can fetch the digital evidence for a case. Okay. So the warrant, obviously, the as I have informed you earlier also, so the law enforcement can issue a search warrant, which is a location determined. So the warrant will need to specify that the data returned can be an exact duplicate, that is bit by bit. But how is it possible is a question mark. The technician at the provider executes the search order from his or her own workstation, where he is going to copy the data from the provider infrastructure and verify the data integrity with hashes of the files. Though the prosecution may call the technician to testify, we have no implicit guarantees that of the trust on the technician collected data. Okay, the provider will complete the request and delivers the data to law enforcement. Let us say that the 2 terabytes of data is with the attacker. The transfer of that quantity of data, the provider will save in a external hard disk and delivers it to the law enforcement by mail or any other way. Okay. Account information generally we will have in terms of 10 MB of the access logs, net flow records of 100 MB and 20 GB virtual machine snapshot. This is how they will send the information to the for the investigation purpose. After validating the integrity of the data, forensics examiner is now charged with the analysis. So this whole data will be analyzed after the examination has been done. So we expect the forensics expert to identify the in terms of following. That is, he has to understand how the web service works, especially when it is getting encrypted or decrypted. Find the keys to decrypt the stored data and use them to decrypt the extra data whatever has been sent. Confirm the presence of child pornography. Once the decryption has been done, then we can say that whether exactly there exists child pornography or not. If it exists, he has to confirm it. So this activity may take man hours to analyze. Access the data found that their forensic toolkit product toolkit 5.5 hours to produce 120 GB of hard drive fully on a top of line workstation, and as long as 38.25 hours on a low end workstation. So high end workstation will give somewhere around 5.5 hours to process the 120 GB hard drive and 38.25 hours for the low end workstation. At that particular rate, if you see, as we are saying that 2 TB of data could take somewhere around 85 hours to process of processing time. Okay, the provider may have returned the individual files or large files containing the blobs or the binary data. In either case, it will become quickly evident that the data are encrypted. So the tools like NKs and forensics toolkits can analyze the VMware data files, but not the snapshots that may include the suspended memory. So all of the forensics analysis is documented and presented to the counsel once the processing examination analysis has been performed. So since raw bit by bit copies of the hard drives were not provided, so how do we know that the cloud provider provided a complete and authenticated forensic copy of the data? These are the challenges which are associated, because the moment we file a case, we need to approach the forensic team will approach the service provider. But how we are going to ensure that this cloud provider has given the complete set of data? Can the authenticity and the integrity of the data can be trusted? Can the cloud technician or his or her workstation and tools be verifiably trusted? Were the data located on one drive or distributed over many? Where were the drives containing the data physically located? So who had the access to the data and how access control is enforced? Were the data commingled with other users' data? If data come from multiple systems, are the timestamps of these systems are internally consistent? So these are the various issues which are associated. You can just take one point for your research and you can start working on that. So I can say that 7 different points has been raised in this particular slide, gives you a different research challenges, 7 different research challenges, which even if you solve one, you will be the great person. I mean, you can go for publication, you can go for PhD, you can do your own research work and you can give it to your research students, so on, so forth. So Microsoft has declined to comment about their compliance abilities at that particular situation when the attack has been happened. So this is how the proxies or anonymous operating systems will come into existence and the anti-forensics will happen, and the all techniques, the forensics techniques which we are going to apply will get into vain. So that so all those techniques, tips and methodologies that may be able to slow down or stop finding the digital evidence. Cloud is by default an anti-forensics methodology because information has been scattered and no location evidence and so on, so forth. So these are the additional cloud computing security resources where you can just click on it and you can get the information. So thank you. And any questions with respect to the discussion, I'm happy to take it. I hope I haven't bored you.
Dear participants, thank you, ma'am. It was really very nice session.
I know it is very theoretical and it went in a lecture kind of way, but it is very helpful for the participants
Yes, ma'am.
those who want to
We
work
have
in
a lot
that
of
area.
here to also discuss about some of the framework and other aspects of cloud forensics. So let's see. We have some of the questions from participants side in chat box.
Yeah,
So
I'm just going through.
yes,
Yeah, cryptographic function with blockchain. Is it possible? Yeah, it is possible. Yeah, you can apply this concept, blockchain concept on that, and you can get the information done. I mean, you can give more privacy and more security for the information. How to address multiplication factor of data? No, I didn't get this question. What do you mean by multiplication factor of data? If
Hello, madam.
Mahendra could,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Hello, madam. Like the data will be stored in replicated factor. Usually,
Yes.
yeah, servers will be at least two or three replication factors will be there. Like data could be could be like leakage or comprehended at any one node or one server. So, in how the forensic will going to detect the multiplication factor data? Like, so that because data could be in order to make the consistency, they will keep it in the three server assume. So
Yes.
somewhere in one server, it might have theft happened or some thing happened on the data. Like how the forensic will detect the particular things. Because
So it will go in reverse engineering process, sir. So
okay.
from where it has happened and to like slowly they will go step by step, and at the end when they find that the information has been stored in 3 servers as you have mentioned, then they will start searching on those 3 servers. But it takes long time. By the time the attacker might have used the data and made, I can say, the profit, whatever he want to gain. So it's a very slow process. That's the reason where the forensic tools are also getting failed.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
So in order to overcome, yeah, someone has, I think you have mentioned, right? Blockchain,
Yeah,
is
yeah,
it
yeah,
possible?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that is the best method to avoid some of the attacks. And any other questions? Just give me 1 minute. I'm checking the chat box. Okay, I think only these are the questions. Any other questions, participants?
Yes, ma'am. Any specific lab or society for cloud computing in India, in
In
academic?
academics, yeah, there. ISC Bangalore, many others are providing, but only thing is the access will be given only by that particular professor, and if he trusts you, and then only he will give you the access.
Yes,
Not only
yes,
ISC Bangalore, many others are there associated for the testing purposes, but only thing is trust matters.
yes, exactly. Yes.
So any feedbacks, any suggestions from the participants?
Any other question? Ma'am, we have already sent them this attendance and feedback form, Google form.
Okay.
So I will share with you. We'll send you a mail of your response.
Okay, thank you, sir.